Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into today's show. Today's guest is Dean Popplestone. Dean is the man behind the brand The Average Man, where his focus is on self-empowerment for men. So without further ado, thank you very much for coming onto the show, Dean. Dean, and thank you very much, sorry. Thank you very much for
That's
coming on the
right.
show.
My pleasure, Neil.
Awesome. So, Dean, tell me a bit about yourself.
Myself, I am the average man. So what you see, I was brought up in definitely a blue collar family. I've worked blue collar jobs all my life. So on the farms with transport, I'm a mechanic by trade. Worked garbage for a long time, and I'm back into the old fleet maintenance side of things. So I've always had a blue collar job. And that's sort of my upbringing. I've always been taught to be a hard worker. Lived in New Zealand for a long time in my childhood. Came back to Australia and met my beautiful wife. So she ruined my plans of only staying in Australia for 3 years. That was about 21 years ago. And since then, we've started the family with 3 kids. So I've now got 2 teenagers and a younger one. So we're busy. We're very, very busy. Married to my wife's a PT personal trainer by trade.
Yep.
And so we're a very busy family, very active. We love our outdoors. We love our exercise. It hasn't always been that way, though, Neil.
Yep.
It's only been in the last probably, I reckon, 5 to 6 years that we've really embraced it and got the most out of it. But for me, I'm very much sort of a middle of the road type of guy. Never really gone too far, never travelled too far, and just focus on working, and that's about it.
Okay. So, can you tell me a bit about the brand of yours, The Average Man?
Again, the average man, I came up through my own life. It's probably something that's been on my heart for a long, long time. But I've only been brave enough to do something about it probably about a year ago that I really started seriously thinking what I can do about it. And about 6 months ago, I started acting on that and started producing a couple of small videos, opened the Facebook page as well. But the branding of the average man, I wanted to see the average guy, the everyday man, start to reach their potential. You know, when I was definitely working in some of these trades, I had a real sort of privileged, I guess. I was a lot of the time in either minor management or middle management roles, so I was looking after crews, and a lot of good guys there, a lot of really good guys, but you can just see how broken they were with life. And I could see the potential that was in them, and I found it frustrating that even though I loved having them on my crew because a lot of them were really good workers and they were great guys to have around for morale, but I could see they didn't want to be there. Their heart wasn't there. And as I got to know them, you know, they'd tell me stuff about their families, and a few of the times they'd tell me about their dreams and goals, which is a little bit special, I guess, that sort of stuff gets shared. And I try and encourage them to actually follow that. Some of the guys did, and it was a bit of a buzz to know that I've actually had an influence on encouraging that. And some of them went off and did what they love to do. But honestly, most of them didn't. And I think where my heart really sort of started to bleed for them was probably the number one thing that they'd tell me was they needed their wage because they had to look after their family and pay their mortgage. And that was me. That was the excuse that kept me in probably a mundane life for 30 years. And I kept that excuse alive, even though I was trying to change these guys' lives. I was doing nothing for myself, nothing to actually improve it. So I was saying it, but definitely wasn't living it. So it's no surprise that only a few of the guys actually took up chasing their dreams. Until just recently, I saw the importance of actually living what's coming out of my mouth. So my heart really is to see the everyday guy reach his potential, and be that champion for his family, for his kids, and for the people around him to actually stand up and be someone who inspires people around. And I think we all have that. We all have it. A lot of the time we don't recognise it, which is unfortunate and really sad. But we all have that inside us. And I think as the years have gone on, probably, I guess the battle of the sexes or whatever you want to call it, things have plateaued out. It's evened out. So men who used to be, the rough tumble guy who used to go out and do the hunting and bring back the meat for the meal and stuff like that has been watered down. And I guess guys a lot of us just feel, well, we just need to go to work and we need to make sure that we keep our house or we look after our family or, do what we have to do on a daily basis and just suck it up. And that costs us our dreams, our desires, a bit of our purpose. And I just think a fuller, better life for these guys could be had, if they start chasing what's on their heart.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes I think that society has a bit of a role reversal now compared to like 30, 40 years ago. You get a lot of stay-at-home dads and then you have, the mothers or the wives going out to work. Have you noticed that yourself?
Look, I have, and it's probably, I guess, just a lot of it is cost of living as well.
Yeah.
That probably brought that along where a lot of families would both go out and work. And now as people have got smarter, some guys prefer to stay at home, and I reckon that's a fantastic thing. I reckon it's a fantastic thing that we don't get locked into we have to be the breadwinner for the family. But I think it's still important that we maintain our manhood, that we maintain being a man's okay.
Yeah.
You can still be a man and go to work and be a mechanic or be an accountant or stay home and look after your kids as well. I reckon it's fantastic. But it's important to keep manhood because the world, even though it's telling us one thing, it still needs us to be men.
Yeah.
It still needs that as part of our society, I believe.
Yeah.
And part of that is, I think, how can I put it? I think it's important that the world knows our dreams.
Yeah.
Because the people that we look up to that inspire us, our sporting heroes, our businessmen, our adventurers and stuff like that, they started where we started.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the, I guess, the progress that they've gone on to their journey. So we're seeing near their end point or their height of where they want to be. But they started where we started. And I think we sort of lose that in the hype of what they've achieved and see it as an unachievable dream for ourselves as well. So my heart is really, really for the average man just to realise that he's allowed to chase his dream, and not only that he will benefit from it, but the people around him will as well, because he's searching to be a better version of him, I guess, is what's said a lot of the time. And that's probably where it really came from. So as I was watching these guys just churn through life and just let life roll them over at times and stuff like that, and probably heart broke for them a bit, that's where it really started to grow from there. And once I realised that I need to actually embrace it personally myself, that's where it started to grab a little bit of traction after that.
So you believe that when men get mortgages and have families and stuff like that, they should not put their life on the back burner?
Not at all. Not at all. Well, the whole point of giving our mortgage is we're buying a house, and that's one of our dreams.
Yeah.
Is to own our own castle. But what I think tends to happen, and that happened for me, is we bought our first house, and instead of becoming our castle, it became our burden. Look, I'm still in that house now, but my mindset has now changed. That it's our castle, and what happens instead of just the fact that I do need to pay my mortgage, that's just a fact. I've borrowed the money, I still need to pay it back, and I still need a means to pay that, so I go to work. But I don't need that mortgage to become an excuse for me not to actually live. So when we adjust our priorities, to be able to do that. And they don't have to be massive wins. And, not everybody can afford to go overseas, or not everybody can afford to buy a boat. But we can still pursue what we love. If we love fishing, we can still, I guess, afford a rod that we can go out and start there. But what we can afford is to give ourselves time to be able to do it, whether it's a half a day or an hour to go down to the pier to have a fish or run or watch a movie that you want to watch or something like that, something that's on your heart, or do something with your family that you've been hanging out to do. I think it's possible. I think it really is. And we just have to change our mindset to work in that direction instead. And I think what's happened is the things that we dreamt of, buying our own house and owning our own castle, meeting the love of our life and having a family, instead of those remaining our dreams and our purpose, instead they've worn us down and become our excuses for not actually getting where we want to get. And I think this is why I think it's important that we follow our dreams and follow our heart's desire, because it not only benefits us, because it makes us feel better because we're doing what we want to do. And, if we're going out and catch the fish, or we know everything there is about fishing or running or whatever our heart's desire is, for you, for interviewing on your radio show, Neil, and for me to be able to get up and speak, it makes us a better person. It makes us a better man to be around. For our wives, for our kids, for our parents, for those for those young men as well. When we're pursuing genuine heart's desire, not quick fixes. I'm talking about my heart's desire is just to get pissed and fall over. So I'm not talking about the quick fixes. I'm talking about the big whoppers that we've always dreamed of doing. We become a better person of what we can actually give out. So what we're doing is not only, I guess, fueling our own desires, but it's rubbing off on other people, and it's inspiring them to be able to pick up the mantra as well and run with it a little bit and be inspired. So every time we go on a journey like this, what we do is we gather people. We gather people and they get inspired at the same time. So I think it's important that we don't let life's necessities become our excuses not to move.
So you believe men should put time aside for themselves to work on achieving their big goals? Is that right?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Without a doubt, I think it's really important. And this is something I actually find hard myself, because we feel guilty.
Yeah.
We feel guilty that we're not helping out, or we're not with the kids and stuff like that. I'm not talking about kids I'll see you in 3 years. Yeah. We're talking about an afternoon here, or a day, or an hour, whatever. But I think for all of us, and men, women, all of us, we need time to be able to inject life into ourselves, to be able to fuel up, if you like. Fuel up. Otherwise, what's happening is we feel that we're just giving out. And same with car. If you just keep burning up that fuel, that's going to stop eventually.
Well, yeah, I always think how can I say, if you just live life and just do what needs to be done and you don't do anything for yourself, you're really just going to burn yourself out, and, you're going to go through little depressional states because you're not really doing things that you enjoy, and you're not, like I said before, the endorphins that we were speaking about earlier just before the show, having those endorphins flow around with us within our body, it makes us happy, and helps basically the serotonin levels flow through you.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to do things that you like and not just do things that are basically chores. The weekend's coming, it's time to cut the backyard because I haven't done it yet for the last 3 weeks. Or, I've got to, fix something else in the kitchen or in the bathroom. You've got to really do solid things that you enjoy doing yourself, whether it's, some people like to do woodwork, some people like to go running or go climbing mountains. Do you believe that's right as well?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I think the trap that I fell into, and I think a lot of guys do, is we just let life happen. So we just let life roll on, and we take our little wins as they go, and we take our hits as we go. And I think as we go into work, and especially you notice when you go into work and you say good morning or good evening or whatever the time of day is, it's interesting some of the responses that you get. And probably one of the common ones is, and you ask them how they're going, is they'll either give you a grunt, or I'm okay, or I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah.
So you can see where they're at by the responses that they get, and especially the I'm here. So I'm just doing what I have to do. And I think it's so important just to fuel up. It's so important to fuel up to a point where you're actually enjoying life.
Yeah.
And you know what? People want to be around that.
Mm.
So I think when you enjoy life, you attract more people because it's people want to be around that. That's what they're looking for. So I guess it's almost like a beacon.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we love, for me, I love watching true life stories, stories of triumph and stuff like that. We've watched a few lately on some running ones, and I think a basketball one the other day and stuff like that, gridiron one as well, where the underdog came up and they won.
Yeah.
And it feels good. And we like that. That's what we want to be. We want to be that underdog that steps up and actually has a win.
Yeah.
But I guess in saying that, when we step up, we've got to be prepared to fall.
Yeah.
We've got to be, I guess, brave enough to be prepared to fall as well. And I think the trick is, even when we fall, we still need to get up and keep going.
Yeah.
And not just let it rest there.
Okay.
So I think you're bang on the money for that one. I think we do need to pursue.
Yeah.
We need to pursue life, and we need to actually take life, not let life take us, because it's so important to not just get swept away with what it's going to give us, but to actually take control of what we've been given.
Okay. How can I say, is there a way that you should perceive work so you can enjoy it? Like we all got to work and it can sometimes be real draining. Do you have a philosophy behind how we should approach work to help make us or help be happy when we go to work?
For me, this was a game changer for me, because I used to be one of the ones that used to say, I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm here because I have to be. I changed my whole outlook on the way that I approach my workmates, even the ones that irritate me. And I make a point of actually saying, good morning, how you going? I make a point of thanking people. I think gratitude is massive.
Yeah.
Is massive for a workplace, and especially a workplace that you don't want to be at. And there is hundreds of thousands of people that go to work that don't want to be at that workplace, and it'll change our perspective. I mean, you can still pursue other pursuits or other places that you want to work, but if you have to go to a certain workplace you don't enjoy it, start finding things to be grateful for. I walk into work and I deal with a lot of drivers, my couple of mechanics as well, and every single drive, and we have quite a few, so there's a lot of good mornings when I get there in the morning, and I get there at stupid o'clock. I start at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So it's nice and early, and I make sure every person I pass, I say good morning and ask them how they're going. So, and if they respond, I'll happily respond back as well. Even if they respond back with a angry remark or something like that, I'll still respond back with a happy one for them. But that takes a real conscious choice to do that. And what it does is it puts my mind in a different place.
Yeah.
I still have my tasks that I don't want to do. I still have my tasks that just have to be done. But I'm doing them with a different attitude now, instead of just turning up and getting the job done. But I think a real gratitude for what we have, and a real gratitude for especially this day and age, that I've still got a job.
Yeah.
That I can still get out of bed and still earn my living that I've got, and a lot of guys haven't got that. So it's a tough gig as well. But we need to just, even if we hunt down small pleasures or small bits of sunshine in our work, start there. Even if we get there and there's one person that we really love to hang out with, he's going to be there. That's your start of the sunshine there. That's where you start. Okay, and you just build on it.
Yeah.
You build on it. So I think for me, just a real gratitude of heading to a job that I'm not passionate about.
So it's more like, rather than looking at the negative side of things when going to work, you're more focused on the positive side of things. So the people that you work with, the good times you'll have with them, the lunch, I couldn't say the lunch breaks, but just looking for little positive things, whether it's the mechanics, for example, they enjoy working on cars. So rather than looking at the chores of fixing other people's cars, that they get to do something they like. Is that right?
For sure. Look, I'm pretty lucky. Look, two mechanics that I have, and they love doing what they do.
Yeah.
And they're really good at it as well, which is excellent. Makes my job a lot easier. But I think where the joy there is, we have good conversations.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of banter and have a bit of fun with each other and stuff like that. A few light-hearted jokes, I guess. But it's that show of appreciation through the humour as well. It's a show of appreciation, just thanking them for their work, and I guess enjoying their company when I see it. And the same for the drivers as well. So my ones don't work on cars; they work on trucks. Yeah. So we're a transport company. So they have some good tasks. There's some pretty heavy lifting for them, and they get some pretty crap jobs as well. But I think it's important to show my appreciation for what they do. I'm at that stage in my career now, as far as the mechanics go, I get the luxury of sitting in an office and telling everybody else what to do. And they're still at that stage where they're doing the hard work. They're suffering the cold mornings. But we still can have a bit of fun with it, because I want them to come to work also and enjoy what they do. I want them to come to work and have a bit of a laugh, not go away think, that was awful. And same for our drivers that drive the trucks. I take the moments and I take the opportunities to actually have those little micro conversations with them as well, just to ask how they're going, be interested, and just show appreciation as well. Thank them wherever possible. And I think those two words, thank you, is a huge benefit to any company, to any association, to any family as well. And just a side note here, Neil.
Yeah.
I was looking into this and what it does to us physically with gratitude, with acknowledgement, is when we're actually acknowledged for an achievement or acknowledged for, say, good work or something like that, what happens is our brain actually releases a little injection of dopamine.
Yeah.
Which is, like your endorphins, it's another one of those little happy natural drugs that the body produces. So when we actually say thank you to somebody or great job or, that looks awesome, what's happening to them is their brain's releasing a little bit of happy drugs into their body.
Yeah.
So it makes them feel good. But on the flip side of that, what it does for us is our brains do the same. So when we give out those compliments, when we give out praise, we actually get that little hit as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's an interesting little setup. So it's not only just an emotional benefit, but the physical side of it is our body's telling us we like what you're doing. We like what you're hearing with that dopamine injection. So it's an interesting little side note that I stumbled across a little while ago.
Oh, that's interesting. So people should really be grateful and, say thank you and basically do nice things so we can get those dopamine hits, so to say, yeah?
For sure. And it's it's such a massive benefit. And even on the physical side of it, I just a few years ago, so I worked with a garbage company for about 11 years, and I ran a couple of contracts. So I've been pretty fortunate with some of the jobs that I've had. So with the garbage contract, I was sent down to more or less help tidy up one that was in a lot of trouble. They were on probation by the council. They were hemorrhaging money. Their hours are out of control. So it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Within 3 years, that contract actually turned around to be one of the best contracts in the department, one of the biggest money earners, and one of the ones that people were actually asking to come down and work in, where before it was a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
The number one thing that we did, we cleaned it up a bit with some of the people that we unfortunately had to move on, which we didn't like to do for anybody. But one of the number one things that turned that contract around to be an absolute success was gratitude.
Oh.
So every day I would thank my drivers for the job that they've done. Every day I would let them know that they've done a fantastic job, because we've reduced our hours, but we've got everything off the streets. And when we got praise from the council, I would get all the boys together for their morning meeting, and I would let them know, this is not for me. This is because of you guys that are out there, doing the hard slog, picking up the garbage and stuff like that. So every time we got better, I passed that gratitude and that praise on to these drivers to say, this is what you're doing. It's not me. It's actually, this is you're doing. So no longer was a contract seen as a bit of a joke, a bit of a burden on the company and a burden on the council. It was now actually one of the premier contracts, I guess you can call it, that got one of the highest ratings from the council, which is fantastic when we work garbage to get those ratings. But the guys' attitudes towards coming to work was totally different. They loved coming to work, and but they took it on board. They took it personal, and they owned what they did, and it just got better and better as it went on. So just that simple gratitude of telling these guys thank you every day, telling these guys, you know what, somebody's actually seeing you do a good job, and we're recognising it. And it's a massive input to what it can do. Now, this is the physical side of it, is that simple act actually changed the whole face of that contract. Now, in 3 years, that went from losing quite a bit of money and had some real big staffing issues to being one of the biggest money earners in 3 years. And the number one thing that we did was show gratitude to our drivers, to show that they were appreciated and to show that we actually wanted them on our team and that they were the difference. It wasn't the equipment, it wasn't the money that was being spent, it was actually the guys who were turning up and their personal effort. And the thing that probably really started to show was they started to show that gratitude to each other. You could hear it over the two-way. They were thanking each other. They were jumping into each other's runs when somebody was in trouble and helping them finish those runs off. So it was then starting to flow out amongst all the crew, and they were starting to practice the same gratitude towards each other as well.
So their attitudes changed, did it?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Does gratitude, I guess, does it play a role with mental health? Like, does it help? Does it work really well with mental health?
Look, I'm no professor and I'm no doctor, but I would take a very confident punt in saying for sure. Yeah, for sure. When we can show appreciation, we can see probably the benefits of what's being, I guess, given to us or what's available to us. And when we're showing gratitude, it also lifts a different attitude in us. It lifts an attitude of praise. It lifts an attitude of looking for the good in the things that we're doing. So even though there's a lot of stuff that goes on in life that's crap, but we can always see the benefits in what's there. We can always see the good in what we do.
Yeah.
You know, so
So
I think gratitude's massive.
okay. So is this the type of stuff that you do in your public speaking?
Yeah, for sure. Probably one of the biggest things that I really push is mindset, is the way that we talk to ourselves, the way that we view ourselves. I think has a massive role in what comes out of our mouths and what comes out in our body language. Is the way that we actually speak to ourselves. I think a lot of the time we are taught or we are conditioned to not talk ourselves up, because that's viewed as vanity. It's viewed as, you're a bit up yourself. But I think I'm a massive believer in the positive talk to ourselves. There's so many people out there that will bag us out. They'll tell us that we're not good enough, not fast enough, strong enough, smart enough, good looking enough, whatever it is. And I truly believe we shouldn't be one of them. And quite often we are. Quite often we're joining in with the crowds in bagging ourselves out. Now, we should be the ones, we know ourselves the best. We should be the ones standing up for ourselves, telling ourselves, going, no, you know what, I am good enough. And it doesn't hurt every now and then to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you look all right. That's fine. And I do put a little bit bluntly when I speak is I do say to people, it's all right to blow a little smoke up your own freckle every now and then. That is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's your freckle and it's your smoke. So it's so important. It's so important when I'm out running. And to paint a picture for you, I've not been blessed with a runner's body. So I have had to work fairly hard on getting moving. So I am quite verbal. When I feel myself slacking off, I'm like, come on, you've got it, you can do it. And quite verbal into encouraging myself that I can do it, especially when I know I'm near a personal best or something like that. There's a lot of encouragement there. Only a few weeks ago, I completed a pointed marathon, which is one of my big goals.
Yeah.
And I think this, and without that positive self-talk, and I'm not just talking about the stuff that comes out of our mouths, it's the stuff that churns inside our heads as well, it wouldn't have been possible. There's no way I would have believed my body, and I've had knee issues as well. I've had a meniscus repaired probably 18 months to 2 years ago, whatever it was, as well. So I had every reason to give myself that there's no way I could complete a marathon. And then, of course, COVID kicked in and all the marathons got cancelled. So I could have ended it there and said, we gave it a good crack, but we missed out. But I was so determined into meeting my goal that I actually, with the help of good people that I had around me, we mapped out a course. So I ran from Frankston to Moorabbin and back again to map out a 42K course. And so the day that I turned 50, I ran a marathon. And
wow.
That was not only for, I guess, a massive part of it was for myself to show myself that I could do it, but also for people around me. So they knew me, and they're going, "Fuck up, mate, you're going to end up dead on the side of the course." That's ridiculous. I said, "No, I'll be there. I'll be back." And it's to show them that these things are possible. Our big goals and our big dreams are actually possible. There's stuff that we can actually do. We get told too often that the stuff that we can't do, what we can't do. Say for I'm sure, say Hillary. Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Mount Everest for the first time. I reckon he would have been told 1,000 times that there's no way he'd be able to climb it. He'll end up dead. So, but he did it anyway. For the guy who broke the 4 minute mile. His name eludes me right at the moment. He got told there's no way, it's not humanly possible that it can be done. And now everybody's doing it. You look at the queues going up Everest.
It's crazy. I've seen some photos.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it shows the world that things can be done if we believe in it. It shows the world that a potentially broken 50-year-old man can get out and run a 42K run as well. And that's why I did it. It wasn't just, it became bigger than just my own pursuit. It became an encouragement for the people around me as well. And I think it's important that we pursue these goals and dreams, because it's selfish if we don't, because we are robbing other people of opportunities to be inspired.
Yeah.
It's so important that we do that.
So I get what you mean. Like, basically, you know, the mind's a really powerful thing with, you know, proper preparation, of course. You're able to basically achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. You just got to put your mind to it. I remember, you know, it was probably almost about 20 years ago now, or around 20 years ago, climbing Ayers Rock. I know you can't do it now, but we were able to do it back then. And yeah, it was a real vertical incline, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I think I was still seeing like 7-year-old Chinese women actually climb it, and I knew I'd never be able to get my grandmother to climb it. But yeah, these ladies, nothing would stop them. They wanted to see those beautiful views, I guess. You know, they've come over here on a holiday, and yeah, nothing's holding them back. You know, they didn't say, yeah, no, this is too steep. You know, they just climbed it, I guess. You know, so the mind is a really powerful thing. You just got to, you know, put practice into play, I guess. You know, and work with your mind, and yeah, you'll be able to achieve those things, just like what you did with your 42K run. It's not an easy feat, I can tell you that right now. I don't know a lot of people that actually would be able to run a 42K run, but yeah. So is this the type of stuff that you talk about in your public speaking, or is there any other things else that you talk about?
I do. That's probably the what it's basically around. We start off with just trying to get guys to really think different, to condition their mind. You know, I guess we start off with ditching the excuses and realizing what an excuse actually really is. I think a lot of the time with our excuses, we turn them into legitimate reasons. You know, as we were talking earlier about the mortgage and the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a really good reason for going to work.
Yeah.
But we have turned them and used them as an excuse, even though they are a legitimate reason, but we've made them into a barrier, into a roadblock or an excuse, which whatever you want to call them, to stop us from doing something else. Now, not all our excuses are good ones, like paying your mortgage or looking after your family. Mate, I can't operate because I haven't had my coffee.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that's scientifically proven, but I reckon you could probably still operate without a coffee. It'd be nice to have a coffee, that's for sure. Not for me because I don't drink it, but I know for a lot of guys it'd be nice to have a coffee. But it's purely just an excuse. And that's what it is. And when we recognise excuses for what they are, we can actually start removing them. As well. So that's where we start, and then we go into the mindset, you know, the way that we talk to ourselves and stuff like that we just talked about. You know, when I took on that run, in my mind, I'd already won it. I'd already finished the run before I even began it. Weeks and months beforehand, I already ran that run and won it in my head. Yeah. So when I lined up, I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to come back and finish it, you know, cross that line. I had no doubt at all, because I'd conditioned my mind to go, you know what, this is what I'm doing. I don't care how I get it done. I am getting it done regardless. So we go into the so get rid of the excuses, and then go into your mindset, the way we think, the way we talk about ourselves, that we're talking ourselves up as well, and building our self-belief. So every time we talk ourselves up, we give ourselves that little bit of self-belief. Every time we achieve a goal, big or small, we build up that self-belief. And every time we build up our self-belief, I like to determine as we're cashing up on our self-value.
Yeah.
So, and the more times we cash up on our self-value, the more probability that we can achieve more than we believe. Every time our self-value goes up, our bar for what we can achieve goes up. So, because there's that belief there going, you know what, I'm doing this 42K. So like the little old lady going, you know what, I'm making it to the top of that rock regardless.
Yeah.
So it's every time we sow into our belief that cashes up on our self-value, our ability to achieve more grows. So then we go from there, and then we go into what we talked about earlier about just letting life happen.
Yeah.
We talked to the guys about making deliberate decisions. So we're taking control. No longer do we just wake up and see see what happens through the day, and we'll just wing it. So for me, I winged it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get anywhere. I tell you now, I'm a little bit jealous that you walked up Ayers Rock. That was one of the things I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I just winged life, and I never got around to doing it. So I never set it as one of my priorities.
Yeah.
I'll still get there. I'll still go and have a look at it for sure. But I think it's so important for us, and this is the final, before we step into the physical, what we can do about our dreams, is making deliberate decisions, making decisions that we have control of. So if we go, oh, maybe I might get up early. No, set a time and say, right, I'm getting up at 6 o'clock. And then when that alarm goes off, you get your ass out of bed, you get moving to whatever you got planned. I think too often we think, oh, we could just stay a little bit longer. And the longer we procrastinate, the easier it is for us to find an excuse and believe and legitimize that excuse for a reason why we can't do something. And we turn it from, how can I put it? So I hate the word can't.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's really a weak-ass word for won't.
Right.
So if we say can't, it's not our fault. So I can't do that, so it's not my fault because something else has happened. It's not my fault. But if we change it to won't, then we're accountable for what we do. So when we start making our deliberate decisions, we're starting to take back control of our life, to start taking accountability for what's been given to us.
Yeah.
Now, all of us have been given the gift of life. All of us are being, I guess, created to be champions, created to be giants in our world. And those deliberate decisions helps us to be able to start getting control and working towards those as well. And I think it's so important if we put those three together, you take away your roadblocks, you start fueling yourself up mentally, and then you start taking control of where you're going. And then we talk about, your goals and dreams after that, and setting your goals and the importance of setting goals, big and small. But also the realization that our goals, I guess, really don't need to line up directly with our dreams. So we have our goals, our stepping stones along life, what we want to achieve. Like my 42K, and before that, I minor goals of a 5K, 10K, 21. You could have whatever your goals are. They could be intellectual, sporting, they could be business, whatever those goals are. We can have big dreams, and our goals don't need to directly line up, because what the goals are doing is that's giving us the ability, so what I talked earlier about cashing up on our self-value.
Yeah.
And so we believe that we can go to the next step. And it gets to the point where we're now looking at it going, you know what? I can actually go for my dreams. Yeah. I can actually start now chasing my dreams, because I can run 42Ks, or I can climb the Ayers Rock, or I can swim a certain distance, or do a triathlon, or I've achieved in this business, or whatever I've done. And it gives us that power to be able to go, you know what, I'm capable. Even though it's going into the unknown, I think I've got this. I think I can do it, because in getting our goals, it's given us that ability just to go higher every time. And I think it's so important to set our goals outside what we believe our abilities are. So we have a preconceived set of what our abilities are.
Yeah.
So we go, this is what I can do. Okay, this is as fast as I can run. This is what I can do. That's important. Roger Bannister, that's who it was, 4-minute mile. It's important for Roger to go, you know what? I'm doing the 4-minute mile. And they say, no, you can't quite get there. And he goes, no, this is where I'm going. So, and that's what he works towards. And it's important for us to do that too, because the title of my talks that I do at the moment are called Escaping the Rut.
Yeah.
So, the rut of life, we're stuck. We can't get out. How do we get out? And that's why I think it's so important that we find a mental way to get out first, and then we can start actioning that physically. And for me, the physical side of it was the running, because that was one of my challenges. I believed I was not built for running.
Yeah.
I was overweight. I was not comfortable. I believed it was an eyesore for other people with all the bits that were wobbling around every time I ran. But I thought, mate, this is my challenge, and I want to conquer it. And that's where the 42 Ks came from, because I'm going, what do I see as the ultimate conquering of this running? And I thought, you know what, a marathon is like one of the premier running events for somebody to do. So I thought, that's where I want to go. I want to go big, and I want to go something of a little bit of glory, I guess. But to pursue that, and it took a bit of work, and I'll go again in when Melbourne Marathon opens back up, because I'm interested to see how that goes. But it gives us that ability to be able to pursue that. But in pursuing our goals, then we go into talking about having a good plan about it as well. When we set our goals, to have a plan how we're going to get there. I think in the past I had goals.
Yeah.
I had plenty of goals that I wanted to do. Ayers Rock would have been one of them. But my whole plan for getting to Ayers Rock is I want to be able to climb Ayers Rock one day. That was my plan. That was, to put it bluntly, that was a crap plan. And the result was I didn't climb Ayers Rock. So it was a crap ass plan. And I think one of my favourite sayings is Mike Tyson. He put it beautifully. He said, "We all have a plan until we cop a punch in the face." So it's so important for us set our goals, but to have a good plan. So when I did my running goal, I just made a real simple plan, and it was a straight line plan towards my goal. Was I want to do 5Ks first, and then a 10K, and then a 21, and then the marathon. So, and I got wayward every now and then. I went off to the sides and got a little bit lost every now and then. But because I had a good plan, it was easy for me to get back on track and go, right, I need to keep going. This is my plan. Excuse me, this is where I'm heading to. But in saying that, and on the deliberate decision side, one of the things that we should decide is who we hang out with. Oh. Because who we hang out with will also determine whether we reach our goals. It's what is it? Was it the 5 people that we hang out with is determine who we are?
Yeah, well, I've heard that. It's like you are who you hang out with is what I've always heard. Because their behaviour sort of reflect onto your behaviour or your attitude, and you want to have that positive attitude, and it's very hard when you've got really negative people around you to be positive, because even when you try to be positive around them, they sort of try to beat you down. Basically, I had a flatmate like that. He was as positive I was, he was always like, yeah, it's never going to happen, or that's not how it works. That's not how life is. And he almost basically said, life is, just you go to work, you come home, and you do that for majority of your life, and you die basically, and you go into the ground, and that's it. And it was really hard living with someone like that, because when I was in my 20s, I was living in Queensland with a housemate, and it just it sort of squashes your dreams a bit, In some ways, it gives you a little bit of a reality check, but reality shouldn't really be like that. Otherwise, the way I think is, what's the point of living, really, to be honest? Because life is supposed to be enjoyed, not endured. So, yeah. So, what inspired you to get into public speaking?
Look, to be honest, I've always really liked it. As a young fella, I sort of discovered my faith and stuff like that around the age of 14, and then sort of helped out with youth as well. So then eventually became a leader. So there was opportunities for me just to share and speak with the young people there as well. And I really enjoyed it a couple of times, be able to preach at the same time. And I love being up there. I love being able to spread a positive message, I guess. And there was a time in my early 20s where I toured with the band as a sound man. It was a Christian band as well, a church band.
Yep.
It was a great life, mate. We were just on the road for about 18 months and did a lot of talking as well, which was really good, and mixed crowd. So it was from young people to church congregations to youth groups to social groups, all sorts. And I guess I really, really loved being up there, and it was always one of the things that really stoked the fire for me. But I sort of forgot about it as we finished up with the band, and life just took over, and I sort of really just forgot about it. I just began working and stuff like that, and it's funny how it works, because a lot of my jobs I ended up in charge of crews, so which meant nearly every day I was in front of them doing toolbox talks or presenting new procedures or different issues and stuff like that. And the crews would range from 2 guys to 30 or 40 guys type of thing. And it never bothered me to be up in front of crowds. That was never really my challenge. It didn't bother me standing up and talking in front of people, strangers amongst it. So that was fine. So it was a natural progression for me to be able to now get back up on stage but talk about something I'm passionate about. And even though I didn't find it hard then, it's so much easier now to be able to get up and talk about what's on my heart, what I'm passionate about. And knowing, instead of just telling somebody a procedure, that I'm actually telling somebody that's going to give them something worthwhile.
Yeah.
So it's always been a passion to get up and speak. As I've just never been brave enough to pursue it. I've never viewed myself as being good enough to pursue it, I guess. Yeah.
Was it a bit of like a mental barrier or a mental block?
100%, yes. 100%. And as what we were talking about earlier about the way that we speak to ourselves. And I was telling myself for years that I wasn't good enough. I was the chubby kid. And I covered that with a lot of humour and stuff like that. I was a bit of a smart ass as well. But that was my way of sort of hiding it. And I guess I love the idea of being a motivational speaker. I love the idea of getting up and inspiring people to do stuff. But believe the lie that I had nothing to share. So, I didn't have a sensational story. I didn't have a story of immense victory over all the odds, or losing a limb, or fighting for life, or anything like that. My story was just, I'm an ordinary guy that got stuck in life and had to find his way out. He got up for 30 years and dragged his ass out of bed. And it took me quite a while to realise that story is relevant to probably 90% of our population. So 90% of the population who drag their ass out of bed every day and think, why the hell am I doing this for? This is garbage. So it took me that long. So I'm 50 now. So it took me until I was 49 years old to realise I've actually got something to share.
Yeah.
And I've actually got something worthwhile to listen to. And just the whole mindset of changing it. And that whole mindset of what we talked about earlier about who we hang out with We're going to attract who we are. So if we're a sad sack or an angry turd, whatever, that's what we're going to attract. That's who we're going to hang out with.
Yeah.
If you look at your groups at work, you look at the baggers, and they're all together, and they're all they just encourage each other to get worse and worse and worse, and they get a small issue and it becomes massive. And it's unfortunate that we always look for like-minded people. That's who we hang out with, and that's where the deliberate decisions are so important, that we actually are brave enough and have enough courage to actually stand up and go, no, I need to go and hang out with this other guy. And we had to make that change too, and it was tough. It was tough, and we didn't want to hurt people, not at all. But for myself, my wife, for our family, we choosing who we hang out with for the influences that they will give us. So when I did my marathon, these people that we chose to hang out with had a massive impact on getting that done. They were huge cheerleaders, and they were excited to have this event. Now they were excited. Let's get it done. It was a one-man marathon, and the good news is I knew I was going to win. So, and I did. But the cheerleaders that were there were awesome. These friends of ours, they couldn't even put any more energy in it if they tried. It was so good. And they helped plan it as well. So it came about. And in doing that, my family was involved. My boy was on push bike the whole 42 Ks, feeding me snakes and dates and water to make sure that I'm actually going to make it. And now we had all the social distancing and how many people we could have around. So, and they even organised runners to come in every 5 Ks. So they swap a runner over. Every 5 Ks, I get a different person to run with, cool. And stuff like that. And they put a lot of thought into it that made this happen. And that's who we want to hang out with, because they're making other people's dreams come true. So, they're encouraging people to reach their goals. And, my daughter ran with me for one of the legs, and my wife, and then my whole family for the last few Ks jumped in and ran. And it was an awesome thing to see, because, you know what, out of these people that we brought into our lives, look how my kids are being inspired. Look how my kids are being encouraged to reach new heights, to see the possibilities for what they can do. And they're young. So they're not waiting until they're 49 years old to find this stuff out. They're 8, 15 and 18. So what a great age to have that, and then to head out into their life. My 18-year-old, he's just leaving school now. I just left school. What a great time to find out that, we need to find these people to encourage us to pursue our dreams, and not wait until I'm a 49-year-old man to realise, this is what I should have been doing my whole life. It's massive. It really is, and it's been life-changing for us.
So, it's really important to have, motivational people around you, people that will help motivate you to do the things that you want to do, rather than having people that, I don't know, are unmotivational, I guess.
Yep. And look, a lot of their unmotivational way that you put it is come from their own disbelief. Their own, I guess, their own self-talk, that they're telling themselves that they're not good enough. And when people strive, they probably struggle. And it's understandable, because they're probably disappointed for where they are as well, and not understanding that. But it's something that you don't need if you want to live a life of inspiration as well. And as a dad, it's massively important for me. Massively important that my kids realise that they don't have to do what everybody else is doing. I think it's a trap, and that's where the rut came from for my talks. Is now the rut's developed. It's one of the meanings. It's a deep track that's caused by passing of vehicles continually, and it becomes impassable. And that rut in our life is a track that everybody else is going down, and we just follow, and we get stuck, and we just keep spinning our wheels and spinning our wheels. And because that was my life and that's the way that I was living, and I didn't enjoy it that much. I just found it frustrating. I went from job to job and no real commitment to anything. And with all my heart, I don't want it for my kids. You know, as parents, I think it's safe to say for all parents, we just want what's best for our kids. We want our kids to do better than what we've done. Even though we might be super successful, we'd still want our kids to do better than what we've done.
So what would be your top 3 tips for breaking that mental barrier?
Top 3 tips. Number 1, start to recognise your excuses. Okay? Definitely start to recognise excuses. One of the ones tip for trying to do that, okay, I put myself through a two-day test. I did a little bit of an experiment on myself. And day 1, I got up and I made a mental note of every single excuse I can hear. Now, not just mine, everybody's. Every excuse. It didn't have to be a good one. It didn't have to be a bad one. Anytime somebody said a reason that they're not going to do something, I took note of it. And there was hundreds of excuses in one day.
Wow.
Right. Day 2, I got up. Okay, knowing what I've just heard the day before, and I just paid attention to my excuses. So it wasn't the stuff that just came out of my mouth, it was everything that I told myself in my head as well. So every time even if I followed through, it didn't matter, but if I got up and gone, I don't want to get up, it's too early. Bang, there's one excuse straight away. Okay, even though if I still got up, but the excuse was still there. It still came into my head. Or, you know, I'm not going to do that job because it's too big. I'll do it later. And justifying it, but there's no excuse. So I actually made a super conscious note to take a full check on what my excuses were. So what that did for me was it actually highlighted the excuses for what they were. So where, as I said earlier, we legitimize them. You know, we make them into legitimate reasons. But doing that two-day experiment on myself, it made me understand what an excuse actually was when I was listening to it. But it also, on the day 2, it made me realise how much I was using them myself. So in that way, I was able to, every time an excuse comes up, going, you know what, it's just an excuse. I don't want to go for a run, it's too cold. Oh, okay. Shorts on, sneakers on. I can shower when I get home. You'll be fine. Get out there and get running to get the job done because I've got a goal. The second one was the self-talk. This one it's a toughie, all right, because I was asked only a short while ago, and it forced me to go and have a look how I could change it. Goes. Somebody asked me what techniques and strategies that I had to actually implement positive self-talk. And straight off, I knew how to do it, but couldn't really vocalize, okay, how do we start pursuing it? Now, the things that we had that I sort of had a look at and stuff like that was change what goes in. So number 1 thing, change what we listen to, our music that we listen to, does that, and the TV shows, and even what we read, does that provoke feelings of triumph or victory or happiness or even the sunshine, whatever, or does it provoke anger, sadness, injustice, feelings of darkness? And if that's the case, we need to get rid of that to start off with. Okay, so it's what goes in is what's going to come out. So that's number 1 thing. Number 2 is start looking on who we hang out with, what we're just talking about. Who we hang out with. Do they give us that same feeling? After being with them, do we feel like that we've actually received something, or do we feel like that we're empty? If we're feeling like we're empty, that's something missing there. So we need to really start choosing wisely who we hang out with. And this is probably so tough because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. To be able to get on, we need to have people that not only we can receive from, but we need to be able to give out to them as well. When we have something to worthwhile. And number 3 for the technique of positive talk is the practice. So little bits at the start. Make it a mission every morning to look in the mirror. You don't have to say it out loud and say, you know what, it's going to be a great day. You're looking really good today. I love your hair. Yeah. Geez, you've done a good job on your hair. Something silly that you can tell yourself, but something that's good, uplifting, a blessing, whichever way you want to look at it, that's going to provoke positive thoughts. Okay, and along with practice, use one little nice bit of information for somebody else. Yeah. Good morning, man. You're looking good this morning. Good morning. I love that shirt. Yeah. Good morning. I love I saw you on Facebook the other day. That was awesome. Just do it once. Practice it, because the more we do it, the more we get going. But we've got to make a start. Yeah. And so those 3 things there will help just change our mental state of, I guess, our exercises towards changing how we think and how we pursue stuff as well. So really, really important that we've got to make a start. And look, I was grateful for my friend who actually asked me that question, because straight up, I didn't have an answer for him straight away. So I thought, I'm going away and I'm going to have a read about it and have a bit of a watch and see what I can come up with. And then thought, oh man, I'm actually doing these. Yeah. I just didn't know how to put it into a structure.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's my tips for
get that mindset working, and getting over those barriers will be a lot easier. Is that right?
For sure. When we believe, it's so much easier. It's like my young fella played a lot of basketball, played rep stand and stuff like that. The biggest thing for winning games was the belief that they could do it.
Yeah.
So, and the amount of times that we saw the underskilled teams beat the skilled teams.
Yeah.
Because they just go, you know what, we're winning today. Yeah. And the belief and the self-confidence that they had made a massive difference to their ability.
Yeah.
So, because at the end of the day, we all have skills and talents, all of us. And they all vary in different things that we can do. We all have them, but we need to recognise them and believe that we can actually use them.
Yeah, no, I get that. I really enjoyed that video of yours, that small one that you made. The whole fearlessness, when you got belief, there is no fear, because all you do is believe you can do it. You don't have any fear. And, like kids, they're absolutely fearless. They haven't hit any rejections in life yet. So they just do what they want to do. Whereas as you get older in life, the doors become harder to open, get rejection, and you fear to open those doors. You then tend to become more fearful of your surroundings and whether you will, achieve the goals you want to achieve. But I absolutely believe in just being fearless and having a lot of belief in yourself, like you said yourself. So but look, I'm going to wrap it up for today there, Dean. I really appreciate you coming onto the show. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Neil. I've enjoyed it. Done a great job, mate.
Thank you very much. Now, to all the viewers out there, Dean, are they able to reach out to you? How would they reach out to you?
Look, at the moment, it's through Facebook. My Facebook site is The Average Man. Yep. You can jump on there. It's an open Facebook page, so all are welcome. I just post a bit of content there on what we're doing and some of the adventures that we're doing at the moment. In the near future, there will be a website coming up, so look out for that. That's what we're working on at the moment. And I'll post, as I do more videos, we'll try and get them up on YouTube as well. So there is an Average Man YouTube channel there as well. There's not a lot of content on there just yet, but we're planning on filling that on up as well. So probably Facebook is one of the biggest ones for me at the moment. So more than welcome to come up there. I'm happy to answer questions and stuff like that, and share your stories.
Awesome.
Share your stories.
Yeah.
I love the average man stories, and the world needs more of those stories out there.
Okay, beautiful. So to all my viewers out there, don't forget to check out the Average Man Facebook page. But from here today, don't forget to subscribe onto the Neil Coutts Show channel there. Would love your support as well as that. If you want, just hit the notification bell there on the right-hand side, and you'll be able to be updated on all the latest episodes that come out. And if you really enjoyed today's episode, smash the like button, that thumbs up there on the left-hand side. But from here with Dean Popplestone and myself, Neil Coutts, thank you very much for tuning in today, and have a good day.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand.